I was being reminded by my son Hunter when I was trying to get the COP26, what's going on over in Europe on the environment together. It makes a lot of difference. All empathy is looking at you and understanding what you're worried about.
Well, that was a stunning admission from Joe Biden on Wednesday of this week that his embattled son, Hunter Biden, advised him ahead of the climate summit in Scotland, where the U.S. signed a surprise deal with a serial polluter, China, to cut emissions. According to a September 2020 Senate report by Senators Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley, Hunter is still entangled in Chinese state-run companies after receiving tens of millions of dollars from both Ukrainian and Chinese companies and has major conflicts of interest, and yet he is advising Joe Biden on the summit. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan joins me right now. He's the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee, as well as the author of the new book, Do What You Said You Would Do. Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. Your thoughts on Hunter advising Joe going into this summit?
Well, his understanding of the environment is probably on par with his understanding of artwork. I mean, I don't think Americans get this. And we all know his history. I mean, he's got conflict of interest on conflict of interest. You know, he took millions from China, Russia, Ukraine, and seemed to, was giving advice on all those issues as well to then Vice President Biden. Now he's giving advice on the environment to President. I don't get it. I don't think the American people get it.
Well, I just wonder if anything's going to come up tomorrow when Joe Biden speaks to Xi Jinping about the origins of COVID-19, given all of this money that has been transferred to Hunter Biden. We know that they were sharing a bank account, so it's pretty much transferred to Joe Biden, I guess. We know that Hunter still has these relationships and this entanglement with the private equity firm. So is there any question that Joe Biden's not bringing up the origins of COVID-19 to CCP?
I mean, I hope he does, but frankly, I doubt that he will. I mean, we now know that American tax dollars went to EcoHealth. EcoHealth was doing gain-of-function research in that lab. We now almost for certain know that the actual virus came from the lab in China. In fact, I think Dr. Fauci knew this clear back on January 30th, 2020, when he got the email from Dr. Christian Anderson that says virus looks engineered, virus not consistent with evolutionary theory, which is a fancy way of saying this thing came from a lab. So we've been misled all along. I hope Joe Biden will bring that up because we know what this virus has meant to the world, what it's meant to our country, what it's meant to our civil liberties. So let's hope he does. But frankly, I doubt that he will.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on all of that. Let me bring you back to domestic issues, Congressman, because I have this feeling that there is no regard for taxpayer money at all in this administration. I want to ask you about the infrastructure bill. Before I get there, we're looking at the graphics, this graphic of what's in the infrastructure bill. Joe Biden's expected to sign it into law tomorrow, but your colleagues voted for it. Are they going to lose committee assignments? I mean, where is the accountability? Why would your colleagues, 13 Republicans, vote for this bill when there's not a dime in it for the border wall?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I wish they wouldn't have voted for it. I wish this thing wouldn't have passed because you're right. There is simply no accountability for how we spend taxpayer dollars in the Biden administration. I mean, they're still paying people not to build the wall. They're getting ready to pay people who illegally came into our country $450,000. And then, of course, we have all the reckless spending that's led to the record inflation. I tell people the real consequences are for American families. You want to buy a home, it's going to cost more. You want to rent an apartment, it's going to cost more. To put food on the table, it costs more. To put gas in your car, it costs more. A Thanksgiving turkey and Christmas presents are going to cost more because of their crazy economic plan. Their economic plan is really, lock down the economy, spend like crazy, pay people not to work. And the bill that's coming next week, the so-called Build Back Better, they're getting ready to raise your taxes. So for all the people who have been working, you're now going to get a tax increase. Such a deal from the Democrats, but it's just craziness. And why we would have folks go along with that, I don't know. But we'll have to just wait and see.
So all of this wasteful spending, they want to pay $450,000 per head to people who broke the law. Look at this graphic we have of all of our taxpayer money going up in smoke. We know that the DOJ is considering paying $1 million a family for these illegals who broke the law by breaching the border. There's $80 billion plus in weaponry left abandoned in Afghanistan. The Taliban had a parade showing it off this week. There's $100 million in unused border wall materials in Texas. They're privately flying jets into private airports to drop people at, I think it's red states. And now they're pursuing this spending package where they're going to force all of us to pay for all of these sky-high ideas.
Yeah, and don't forget, they gave Andy McCabe, Cash was just on with you, they gave Andy McCabe $1.8 million, a guy who lied to the FBI, lied to the Inspector General multiple times. The same DOJ who's getting ready to give $450,000 per person who illegally came into our country, gave Andy McCabe that money after he lied to the Justice Department. I mean, this is the Merrick Garland Justice Department. So, yeah, Americans are fed up with this, rightly so. And that's why today there's an ABC poll out that says Joe Biden has a 41% approval. ABC poll, Washington Post poll. 41% approval rating, because the American people get how wrong they've been, this administration's been on every single policy issue.
Well, look, obviously parents are taking control, and you are showing serious leadership in this parent situation. You sent 2 letters. I want to ask you about schools being ended up being the issue in Virginia. They almost lost New Jersey as well. You would think that they used that as a wake-up call. Tell us about your investigation into the Department of Justice and the White House for sicking the FBI on soccer moms.
Yeah, well, they definitely did. They treated parents as they're treating parents as domestic terrorists, just like that initial letter said. This week, we sent a letter asking Chip Slavin and Viola Garcia, the 2 individuals at the National School Board Association who sent the original letter on September 29th that prompted this whole thing. And what did we learn this week as well? We learned that the School Board Association was working with the White House beforehand, even before this. So they were coordinating on this letter that then became the basis for Attorney General Garland's memorandum, where he said he's going to set up a snitch line on parents and going to investigate moms and dads who are simply showing up at school board meetings saying we don't want this racist, hate America curriculum taught to our kids. So we hope that these individuals will come in for a transcribed interview. If they don't, we're going to call for subpoenas.
Yeah, I mean, all of this as they ignore serious crime and perjury in the Russia hoax and drive forward trying to take down Trump associates. Real quick on your former House colleague, White House Chief of Staff, former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, potentially facing criminal contempt of Congress? Yeah, this is so ridiculous. Mark Meadows didn't do one thing wrong. He's a good man who served our country, was the best chief of staff you could ever have. The idea that they're going to do this, you talk about having a chilling impact on the top advisor to the President of the United States. Going forward, what this means, this is frightening where they want to go. But this is where the Democrats are. And they're focused so much on this January 6th commission because, Maria, what else are they going to talk about? I mean, they're going to talk about inflation. They're going to talk about the chaos on our border. They're going to talk about the price of energy, that we went from energy independence to now the President of the United States begging OPEC to increase production. So they got nothing else to talk about. And now they are going a 200-year precedent saying that the top advisor to the president is going to have to come in and testify. This is as wrong as it gets. Really, really troubling times right now, Congressman. Thanks very much. We'll keep watching all of that. Good to see you this morning. Jim Jordan.